So welcome back guys. So today I'll be covering a different type of Bastion deck, this time what people call Control Bastion, featuring Singing Sword of Bastion. So in actual fact, this is not actually a control deck, rather it's a more mid-range deck that focuses on grinding out your opponent resources with your standard Bastion 4 attacks a turn, while also pulling elements of control to make sure you can deal with threats when you're being rushed. So it features this order card called Singing Sword of Judgment, which can send back a whole column from your opponent's regards to the bottom of the deck, which can interrupt aggressive plays from decks like Overdress, Magnolia, and just Zorga, which is actually some of Bastion's tougher matchups. So this build doesn't form as good magic numbers. It can still form some decent ones, but damage triggers can really hurt it. So I'll just go through the deck profile a bit. This is card for card. One of the lists are exactly this deck too. So I wouldn't cover the staples, which are of course Bastion, Elden, and Focal. All these cards are kind of staple in all Bastion decks. Maybe if you play my version, you can guess one of this. Because my build plays a bit more great tools, But about these three cards I will cover. So the Hour Hold Judgment Commerce and the Singing Sword Judgment. So both these cards essentially act as a way to try maintain momentum. So with Commerce, it's actually a backup to Elden. So if you draw Elden, you can actually just pitch this away early game to make sure you can meet the cost for your 2 draws. So Judgment is then used to handle threats every single turn, and it's actually played at 4 copies entirely for that reason. It's important to note that you cannot play 2 normal orders in one turn. So you can't go Commerce into Singing Sword, but you can go Elden into either one of this, or the other way around, it's fine. Also, another thing to note is with Bastion over here, Elden over here, you can actually call out an order card. It will then retire from the field, but since it counts as a gate 3, you'll still get a 2 cards draw. So these cards are not entirely in your hand. Then in order to meet the demands that the Singing Sword Judgment puts onto you, we have to max out on Rough Look, which is the only way you can charge gate 3 on turn 3, like constantly. So what Rough Look does is you can put it to soul to give any of your regards 10,000 power. So this is actually a similar approach to what I played in the budget build, if you remember, you look back. So this actually is, instead of relying on cards like Dark Strain, which would compete for Soul Blast with this card and Elden, we just focus entirely on forming basic numbers to be 25k, 35k resistance, and yeah, Rough Look will help that. Then Painkiller Angel on the other hand here is here entirely to facilitate drawing into all these cards to see them. So Painkiller Angel, the skill, so +1, end of the battle, retire itself to draw 1 card. Yeah, very good booster for Bastion. I even played in my own deck, and of course AG's Bear Dragon. For trigger lineup is generally the same thing. I can show you. Over trigger, 3 draw, 8 crit, 4 heal. So yeah, I'll just come back and I'll show you some of the threats which the deck often finds itself into. Let's go back to how it works against the matchup. So I'll cover Overdress here. So for Overdress, which is one of the decks which the deck really has to worry about, is that since it sends a rig up to the bottom of the deck, if you choose an Overdress unit, the whole stack actually goes around. So if there's, let's say they build up a whole Valiant, this whole Valiant will go to the bottom of the deck, which usually prevents Nirvana from reviving the Trickster. So that's one reason why this card, the Singing Sword Judgment, is so strong. As Nirvana now has to hard draw into another Trickster, or you're stuck only in whatever they have. So this actually interrupts their stronger plays, which is they have a Overdress, at least Varina, and an Arcus at the other side. Because what they typically want to do is to pressure, both these skills to get power from your own skill, both get 10k. You get 10,000 from the dress, 10,000 from your own skill. So by actually interrupting this double Trickster play, which they love to do, you can actually take advantage of them really well. Also, if you have to deal with troublesome regards, the 4 attack play, you can actually like send this back with the order. Then you can actually like swing Vanguard first, Vanguard, then if you check gate 3, you can actually try to snipe this thing. So you can actually interrupt even more, as they'll eventually run out of Overdress units to constantly play around you. Also, this sort of plays helps you to limit the Count Blast for Nirvana, as without Count Blast, this Arcus, Valiant, and Nirvana now has a complete Count Blast, and most of the time they're either going for Arcus for the card draw or Nirvana. So this actually slows down the whole pace of the game. Then eventually when you draw more good trees and just keep casting the order, right? Once you get 2 Trickstars to the bottom of the deck, then yeah, it's very hard for them to form a consistently strong column, as you're eventually left with maybe 1 Trickstar they just top draw it something. Yeah, but that's how you slow down Nirvana with this control build. You control its damage and you control its overdress units. As currently in overdress, there's no cut in Dragonfire besides Sensar Shade over here, which is the Persona Right Searcher, to actually search the whole deck for anything or even shuffle the deck. So once you go to the bottom, they're as good as gone. Now let's talk about the card against Stoichia. So I'll be using the Magnolia build as an example, but it also applies to Zorga. But for Magnolia in particular, there'll be units like Unisoloa, Cherries, and Lattice in the back row, which are very strong units to help you burn the 10k cards from your opponent. So by casting the card, our Singing Sword of Judgment, you actually get rid of these cards to the deck, and they'll be able to recall them. This is stronger than Retire actually, as they're not able to revive it from drop zone for skills. So for a deck like Zorga, which runs a lot of other cards and not as much units, sending those units back can be actually very clutch moments, and they might not be able to make a proper field after this, even if they're to revive. Similar to Varina, the same strategy applies. You can actually try to win the advantage game, grinding them out, hit the Rearguard, hit the Vanguard, yep. So another thing for Duga is that once you get rid of the full field formation, you'll lose his 5k. And also, this type of plays actually plays around a very commonly played card, which is Ghost Chase over here. So Ghost Chase actually allows you to bounce the unit not being attacked. So a common Stoichia play is to revive Perfect Guards, the Over Trigger, and reviving them, then putting them back in your hand with Ghost Chase. But because the other cards drink works in the main phase, that will not happen. And now I'll also cover against Prison. So against Prison, generally don't first up columns like Unit 3k over here. So when you actually play the Singing Sword of Judgment, you're actually trading that one order card from your hand to get rid of 2 cards, which should help you win in the advantage game. In particular, look out for units like Chevrolet Start, which is a card which does not need to be on place to start presenting your cards. And of course, Agar Rogue, yeah, so this is the Root, I think, yeah, Root Share. So this is the card which gets shield value and power if you got Prison. Once you just remove it from the field, there it goes, yeah. Just opponent loses 2 cards, and then they lost the shield value which they're counting on, and just the attackers in general. So you can combine this strategy with ways to play around Prison, such as the Rough Look you see before, and you can play Posad if you want. You can actually hard lock Prison out of the game, and they'll just be swinging it vanilla 23k most of the time. The last matchup that I feel is relevant for that card is of course Bastion itself. So Bastion itself likes to commit a lot of victory early to activate Kokabio. To get, if I call it here, it gets 15k shoot, 6 victories. On all, just activate Induction Dragon for the boost to push 4 numbers. So with the other card, you can actually send a whole column back, which will affect the deck, and it should help play around for Sado. So this is the thing I should have covered with Trickstar, but cards like Trickstar and Posado can't be chosen by card effects. But because Singing Sword Judgment, you can actually choose the card behind it, set it at the bottom of the deck, and the whole column will still go back. So unless the whole row has like the resist, you can still play around it. So they either have to play Posad by itself to prevent this, which is, I mean, 15k, it's not going to hit you much compared to like Elden over here, or they have to commit and be prepared for it to get away. So this is why this book is getting kind of popular, although in my opinion it still has some problems, which I will get into the last part. This build also comes with its own fair share of problems. So the first being the number of order cards in your hand. So if you have opened multiple order cards, 2 is like still okay, but any more, then yeah, you might not be able to make full use of Elden over here. Like I could use Elden for Elden, but maybe it's a bit hard to get the full value, as if you hold order card and disappears, you're technically not plussing as much as you could with a grade 3 unit rather. The other thing is Singing Sword of Judgment can only work when installed as a grade 3 unit. So unless you always draw rough look, which is not always the case, you might go to the damage zone or just does not, you just don't draw it. If you're going second, this card's a dead card in hand for 2 turns, and if you do not draw a personal right or this, it's very hard to justify having so many copies of it in hand. Also, this build will not be able to take full advantage of Kokabio, as you only have usually three other regards, so it'll usually be a 10k shield at most, unlike the 15k. But you're trading all of that for a bit more the control aspect, which is the board wipe, which Keter Sanctuary otherwise does not have. Another thing is Commerce, right? So you might be wondering, why would you play both, right? We can cast once a turn. So Commerce is the role in Keter right now. It will help builds which do not run any other form of draw power as a backup to Elden over here. So if you don't draw Elden, a lot of Keter turns, going second especially, are very weak. Like, it's okay your opponents actively damage dying you, but if they are just rushing you and you don't draw these cards, there's no way you can actually handle the pressure. So unless you just draw hard draw into this 2, it's gonna be really consistent. Then the other thing I want to highlight is of course magic numbers. Like, I highlighted a lot of times, and even the guide which is coming out really soon. For Bastions, magic numbers is the key thing of how it wins games. But with this build, your numbers are pretty basic without personal right. So you're actually relying on personal right to actually push, as you know Darkstream Dragons. Or the other option is just to run Plain Killer Angel from columns, like 23k, 28k. They're still okay, but compared to Darkstream, they actually Darkstream columns still hit higher, which is like 40k with personal right. So if your opponent gets a damage trigger, they got higher chance to survive your turns. And also, yeah, your counterblast might be a bit tight, but without facade, but with Elden being the only focus, I guess you can plan around it. So this build is really interesting. I would still say I prefer the regular variant, but if your meta is way too aggressive, I'll definitely give this a try. As Bastion, one of Bastion's weaknesses is covered by this build in particular. So yeah, do give this deck a try. I'll say experiment with it. If you don't like so many other cards, like with Commerce, because it's only once per turn, you can run Great Sneak Witch Solaria, which is this card. Combat 1, Super 1 when discarded from hand during your turn, you can draw a card. So this is the right alternative you can do, as you can activate from the right deck or Bastion's discard skill. So with that, let's take a look at how the meta develops, especially with set 2 reveals on this way. I'm really excited, especially with the new order card, which I'll talk about quite soon actually. The one who got to show the ones together here, the one which gives Bastion extra drive, which I think actually gives the all grade 3 variants a different way to play. So with that, yeah, see you whenever, and do check out the guide this weekend. Actually, Vanguard's gonna post a Varina guide, Bastion guide, and I think Prison guide. So we've been working really hard on this, so I really hope that you really enjoy it. It takes a lot of time. Other than that, yeah, I'll see you around.